Welcome back to your new favorite reality show recap. Today, we're going to be diving into Love is Blind, the reunion. My name is Nicole Hernandez, and I have my friend here, Danielle, also known as It's Your Girl D,
Hey,
here.
friend.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good, but before we get started, we're so excited to share that we will also be recapping Selling Sunset.
Woo!
This recap we just started for the Love is Blind, and it's been going so well. Thank you guys so much for commenting and watching and sharing. I can see it all in the analytics. You guys are loving it. So we really appreciate it. And we're really excited to recap Selling Sunset. I personally love Selling Sunset. That's like I like them more than the Housewives. That's like Selling Sunset is my people. So I'm excited that we will get to recap that.
Yes, definitely looking forward to it. Like you said, I'm just as big of a fan. That is my bread and butter. Those are my girls, and I can't wait to see what drama they decide to create this season.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It always is.
Yeah.
But you're here for Love is Blind, and so are we, the reunion. So let's just get straight into it. The reunion starts off with Megan and Jordan. And what I found funny about it is, um, all the spoilers have been that Megan is pregnant. So I really thought, oh, we're gonna be talking about this reunion like you have watched it, okay? Um, I really thought that they were gonna save the announcement that Megan is pregnant for the end, but they came out strong and announced that Megan is indeed pregnant, and the guy that we've been seeing in all the photos is her man. And she even explained the timeline, because I remember, like, last week you were saying, "Is this a surrogate baby or what?"
Yeah, because she looked in the previews so good. Like, it looked like she hadn't just given birth. And, granted, she was in gym wear and wasn't all dolled up, but I mean, you can't, you know, really base anything off of that. And so I thought, oh, for sure, like, there's no way because we were trying to figure out when filming ended, how long it's been, just trying to do the math. And lo and behold, Sparkle Megan laid it all out there for us. And I love her for that because now our questions are answered.
Right, and did it seem like to you that Netflix was trying to mix her up because she was like, I met her new man 3 months after the show, but she was dating Mike a little bit after the show, and then she was like, within 3 months of her new man, she got pregnant. It was like they were trying to trip her up because she went on dates with 2 people other than Mike after the show. I don't remember who the other person was, but they really seemed like that timeline was real short.
Yeah, which granted it was,
Yeah.
but again, even if she was dating both of them at the same time, it's no different than just her being back in the real world. Like people casually date, and she decided, let me just try it with Mike. Let me see if maybe there was something there and if we could, maybe dating my type might work in a different way because Mike definitely wasn't like the traditional billionaire that she is used to dating. He's well off, but I think that they just, I think everybody in the pods at some point they just want to explore and see if it would work with the other connections that they had in the pods. I think that's just natural. And then she happens to meet her baby daddy at um some party, I think she said, and they, clicked, and 3 months later she's pregnant. And all power to her. It's something that she's, I'm sure she's always wanted, and hopefully this is the guy for her and they live happily ever after.
I hope they live happily ever after. He definitely looks like what I kinda thought Megan's type was, like, bald and rich, 'cause
Okay.
he looks a little rich.
You look wealthy.
Yeah, he look a little wealthy. And Jordan, I felt like I was so happy that he already knew about the baby and all
Yeah,
that jazz. That really kinda made me felt better, and I felt kinda bad for him. I don't know.
for him too, because you could just see it in his face and in his eyes, it's like, damn. And I don't know if it was just out of like, dang, that could have been us
Yeah, it felt
now,
like that.
or was it more like, damn, she got to move on and have this, you know, r I guess, happy ending-ish, and he's still, trying to find his person. I'm sure at a little bit, I feel like it stung a little bit seeing her because I know he really did care for her. Um, but like you said, I'm really glad that she was able to clarify with him, the rumor that was told to him, because someone slid into his DMs trying to be messy, and when he reached out to her, she was honest and told him up front. So at least he wasn't blindsided at the reunion. Um, yeah, because that would have hurt.
You can tell that he really saw a future with her. Like, he really saw the possibility of a future and a family. So, to then have to sit there and see it with somebody else, like, he definitely looked teary at times.
Yeah.
That
For
was rough. Okay, next we have to go on to Casey
You know what?
and Patrick in this ring. Like,
Great.
Casey's plan was like it was as if it was as if she wanted to assume that we didn't watch the season and she was just gonna deny, just deny. And I'm so glad that Patrick was able to like stick up for himself and correct her and say different things that she lied about, whether it was her saying she would give the ring back, and then he was like, well, I was under the understanding that we were going to still be together. And then even more into the reunion when she's like, we were Patrick was at the party too, and Patrick was like, I was not at the party.
Like, don't do not place me where I was not placed.
Yeah, like I was not there. And then on top of that, this whole back and forth about a ring, but the ring, I heard that the rings are cheap.
Okay, so I heard and did some research, and according to, I want to say it was, I forget her name, but she was on one or two seasons ago, and she was doing this like, you know, debunking segment on TikTok. And she explained that Netflix gives them, like, a choice of, like, what they're willing to provide. So Netflix provides, like, a base, ring selection for them to choose from, and but they have, the option to upgrade their package, but that would be out of pocket. So, from what I heard is that Patrick was, I think, maybe the only one that decided to upgrade his package. And therefore, Casey did have the best ring of all the girls. And that's why I think uh, Patrick was not so gung ho about it, but he, would bring it up to try to get that back because, I mean, you basically spent a couple $1,000s, I'm sure, on this ring on someone that basically lied to you and did you dirty during a breakup per se,
Real
uh,
dirty.
so I don't blame him at all for trying to get the ring back as much as he did because even if like, he coulda resold it, coulda pawned it, coulda got some money back for it. Um, but yeah, that was an interesting segment. I think they spent way too much on the ring. The ring got a lot of screen time.
Like the Chris Paul thing, that was
That
unnecessary.
Yeah, and that
Like,
was definitely planned because then how all of a sudden they're gonna play this, basketball shooting game and then winner takes the ring? It's like, no. So that for me, uh, was unnecessary. I was like, they don't have enough to film, so, hey, let's bring CP3 out.
yeah, that was so random. I was like, CP3 is there for a check. That came with a check, okay?
Big check, and I just feel like, again, Casey still isn't taken accountable for her actions. She's painting this narrative that she was just protecting Patrick. It's like, no, you're just trying to protect your image, which is fine, but at this point, like, we're
Just
not dumb, we're not blind.
yeah, like just be accountable. And obviously, nobody on this cast believes in love being blind because it was a no. Um, I also thought it was funny that Casey, I know we had talked about it before, but it was interesting for them to confirm that Casey and Joe did like date for a second.
Yeah. How they went into it. And I don't know if you caught this, but when they asked her if she had dated anyone after filming from the pods, KB and Madison's faces had me crying. They were literally on the couch and both of them sitting next to each other going,
Wait, okay, I just had to tell my kids to be quiet. So wait, say that one more time. When Casey did what?
okay, so when they asked Casey, hey, you know, have you dated anyone else? Has that, was that person like in the pods? And, Casey not knowing whether to spill the tea or not. And when they were like, yeah, they, you know, trying to like figure it out, make her like point Joe out. KB and Madison were sitting on the couch and they were both like,
That whole KB, Madison, and Kate, they those three were kikiing the whole time.
the whole time. And
The whole
I was for it. I'm like, yes, because that would definitely be me and my friends. Like, we would definitely be like,
mm,
"Gonna tell the truth?" Like,
are you gonna spill the real beans?
yes. And then they were like, and then she's like, "Yeah, he's actually sitting on the couch in front of me." And then they try to be like, "Oh, Edmund, we all know."
We all know it.
Yeah. But yeah, when they came clean about their several dates or whatever, I thought that was interesting. I felt bad for Madison because, it's like to see that and to have the interactions that she said she was having with, with Casey and the things that she said, like, even jokingly, like, I don't know. Obviously, they weren't very close friends outside of filming, but, like, as a close friend-ish, I mean, I don't know if she would have even dated Joe, but to go up to someone and be like, "Oh, we're Eskimo sisters." It's
Ye
like,
Oh,
"No."
that was
Oh,
horrible. That was horrible. She, as the kids say, she thought she ate with that. She thought she ate with that, and Madison was like, "The hell?"
yeah, that definitely gave me the ick, and not that I loved her to begin with, but it just that reunion did not do Kelsey any favors.
Yeah. Did you
So
wait, while we're on Casey or whatever her name is, did you catch that Megan told Casey that she was pregnant, but Ali said that she was in the closest with Megan in the pods, and this was a surprise to her. And you could tell that Allie was a little hurt that, like, Megan, you didn't tell me that you were pregnant, but you told Casey?
yeah, and to think like, because Casey obviously wasn't like
Yeah.
part of the show afterwards, but um you could tell like even her face when she announced it, like they made sure to zoom in on Allie. And she even made a comment. I couldn't read her lips per se, but she looked over to Annie, was like, "What the heck?" Like, she was pregnant, and for her to share like, "Yeah, we were, like, the closest in the pods," and obviously that didn't, like, translate outside of the pods, for her to tell one only one friend from the pods and not maybe 2 or 3. Allie definitely looked a little hurt. She was kinda like, "Oh, I thought we were closer," but then again, it's kind of like, if you were that close to feel some type of way of not having a friend tell you they were pregnant, you might have not been that close. Because how do you go 9 months without seeing a friend? Even that, like, say the last time she saw her was, 6 months prior to her giving birth. Like, you go that long without talking to a friend, meeting up. I mean, they live in the same city, so, maybe she needs to reevaluate the real friendship that she has with Megan. Because I mean, all that just, like, said enough in itself.
Yeah. And I also think it is a show. And at the same time, even if they were super close, it's still a show. And you don't know what people's intentions are. At that point, everybody's just trying to keep their name clean. And Sparkle Megan could have been like, good girl, we are cool, but I need this. She obviously wanted to keep it locked down. It's just interesting that if you're trying to protect it, tell Casey.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Casey seems like the biggest hot mess on the show.
yeah, so I was
But
just
it
like,
could have been by accident because the girls did say, oh yeah, you were really sick." And I could see Casey being like calling her and be like, "Are you pregnant?" Or like I could see her like,
her, like, "Oh."
yeah.
But yeah.
And we knew Joe and Casey were not gonna last. The way Jordan and Joe were like kikiing back and forth that Joe dated Casey for a period of time was hilarious. And then Joe trying to explain that time between dating Casey, the show ending, and then meeting his new girlfriend was all
The new girlfriend being friends with Kate?
yeah.
Joseph? Like, what are we doing? Joe, to me, at that point, is a pod hopper. Like, you are, like, just hopping around these ladies for a man, for a serial engager,
Yeah, he is. Because this is a second or third, right?
get engagement,
Yeah.
and go on to date 2 other people, like, right off the bat. That's the crazy thing, is, like, he granted, if he wanted to explore some options, like, fine, but the way he spiraled and the way that he's called off 2 engagements, you need to be left alone. You leave these women alone. Like, I don't understand, like, what his mentality is. I don't know what this Avery girl is doing, but God bless you, and I hope you know what you're doing and what you signed up for, because yeah, and for
He
him to
is
keep it.
he's a runaway groom.
He's a runaway groom. He is, like, so afraid. Clearly, he's not afraid to, like, be in relationships,
Yeah.
but to, like, getting married, that's where he, like, freaks out. But then why are you continuously getting engaged? So I pray that he does not propose to this girl for a couple years
Yeah.
and really
Takes his time.
yeah, because no.
Yeah. I hope he takes his time. Um, and then Joe and Madison, it seemed like Madison really wanted the fight, and Joe was just like, it is what it is. Like Madison really wanted, like, give me something here, you know? And Joe was just kind of like, it just is what it is.
Yeah, and that's just Joe's personality. I feel like he's just Mr. Like, I just want to chill. It's not that serious. Da 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 da. But then again, it's like, but it is that serious, you know? And poor Madison, like she wants this reaction out of him so bad and wants to feel validated so bad from him that it's like you're not gonna get it from him. He's just not that type of guy. Let's just, she just needs to realize and accept Joe for just who he is. And sometimes you're not gonna get the answers you want. But just know, baby girl, like you dodged a bullet, and you are so beautiful and you have so much going for yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's not going to have an issue, hopefully, finding, another man, um, in the near future, hopefully. But yeah, she needs to just bury Joe and just move
Call
on
it a day. Just move on and call it a day and just act like it never happened.
because he don't care.
Speaking of the guys, the only person that came prepared to take accountability and have their statement ready was none other than Nick, who we can always count on to be prepared, to read the room, to know how he's going to look online and know how and what to say. And can he completely watches reality TV up there in that mountain because he knew I look bad. I'm just gonna take accountability. I'm gonna apologize. I will play the bad guy because him taking accountability, pretending to be the bad guy, makes him look like the good guy,
Yeah.
especially in that room.
Oh, 1,000% because everybody seemed to deflect. Well, all the guys seemed
Yeah.
to deflect and, try to paint this picture besides, our dear Patrick. Else was like, I didn't do anything wrong and, this is what happened and, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like Nicholas was beyond prepared. He is like Mr. PR. Like, you need to change careers and you should have, helped your friend Kelsey over there. And yeah, he definitely knew what he was doing. I give it to, Nick.
Yeah.
Um, him and Annie's situation, honestly, the him, Annie, Kate thing it was just boring for me. I think it's just overplayed. Um, I did like how they spoke with Annie and kinda had her explain more of, like, why were you trying so hard and, like, what were your thoughts and intentions behind it, but, um, yeah, I'm glad they didn't spend too much time on it because, I don't know, they just for me anymore.
Yeah, I was like, Annie, are you even here at the reunion? She was just sitting there like, I'm ready to go. I'm just here because I have to be here. And
And I'm sober and I need a drink.
she looked like she needed a drink. Annie definitely looked like she needed a drink. Okay, We have to move on to Allie and Anton because ha this was a slippery slope because I think that Anton thought he was in a completely different relationship than Allie thought they were in. Like, I think Anton really meant what he meant, and I think he was really ready to see a real relationship. And I also think that some of the guys take the live your real life too seriously. Like, they take the, "Okay, now we're gonna live together like how we would normally live together." They take it so literal, and the girls are like, "Okay, yeah, but we're seeing what this new life looks like for us being together, not just you on your own." And I don't think the guys understood that, and I think Anton didn't understand that when she was saying like, "Okay, yeah, you're coming home from work and you're, eating some breakfast, you're drinking a beer, you're going to sleep. Yes, that's your real life, but we need to mix the real life with me now or together." And I think he didn't get that at the time.
He definitely missed the whole point of the trial marriage part of it.
Yeah.
When she was like, "You come home and don't even acknowledge me half the time." And he was like, "Well, I, worked for 14 hours and I'm tired and I just want to eat my breakfast and drink my beer and go to sleep." It's like, okay, that's fine. No one's getting, she's not mad at you for wanting to, do that, but at least acknowledge her. Like, hey, how are you? Because in the real world, in a real, like, you know, partnership, live in situation, marriage, like, you acknowledge each other. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that, like, I would be okay with, my partner coming in and completely ignoring me, and vice versa. Like, it's just a courtesy of, "Hey, how are you? How's your day?" She wasn't asking for like these in-depth conversations right off the bat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All have hard days at work. We all, have easier days here and there, but she was just looking for just some like normalcy as to what like it would look like. So for him to kind of live, I think was still in the mentality of like, I'm a single man, but I have this girl, obviously living with me. And he was very just much moving in this like one-way street instead of a two-way street, like she was trying to. And then he was like, you know, not getting upset with her, but he replied with like, "Well, we're not going to have, in-depth conversations like 24/7 like in the pods." But I think he misread what she meant, and I feel bad for her because she, really tried to see if this, could work. And like, they did bring up and spoke about certain situations off camera a lot more than on camera. But unfortunately, he didn't put, I think, his best foot forward during that trial period. And for her, our girl Allie, she is definitely not one to date potential. And she was like, "I saw what I saw. I saw what I needed to see. Just not for me." And I'm not gonna lie, I do feel like her friend Daria may have had a little to do with being in her ear and reminding her, like, you know, maybe the caliber of man she prefers to be with. Um, but
And
I
not
feel,
let this whole show get in the way of that.
yeah, like, hey, let's reel it in. Let's remember what he does for a living. And he might not get out of that. He might be this forever. And the lifestyle, that you wanna live. And then, she did bring up again the traditional, male role background that, her friend has and how she compared it to Anton's background and what the expectations were of a man like that. And not that Anton wasn't willing to be that person. Again, I just think that he misread the trial period a little bit. I, like it's a bit of a shame because I really feel like they could have gone all the way,
Mhm.
uh, if it wasn't for, them having just 2 different, uh, perspectives on during that time.
Yeah, it was like they have that potential, and I think that's why the room kind of felt kind of like you could feel the awkwardness in the sense that the room felt like they really did have that potential, but he was always at work. I think that's what it came down to. He was at work and he worked the night shift, so they couldn't really dive into that. Um, when I thought Nick and Vanessa did a pretty good job because I know in the past they have always been like ragged on for doing a bad job, but I like that Vanessa asked her, you had that issue with the strippers, like why didn't you ask him, you know? I thought that was a good point. Like she should have said something about the strippers and whatnot. I'm so sorry that the background is loud. Um, but uh what was I gonna say? And I do like that they got messy and brought up that she snuck to the bathroom and asked a friend. And then to find out that the girl that moved in with his best friend for 3 months, they're not together anymore. And it was so messy. I'm like, wait, hold on, Anton. This might be as messy as it came off to be.
Yeah, and, again, like you said, like, Nick and Vanessa do normally get ragged on for not doing, like, the best job. I feel like this season they really asked these questions and allowed that, tried to allow that most of the contestants to, like, come clean
Yeah.
with stuff. And to Vanessa's point, I mean, why didn't she bring up the strippers if that was that big of a deal? In the bathroom, not that she knew what the friend was gonna, spill, but I mean, for you to kind of create this narrative of like being so distraught that this was his lifestyle, like before he went on the show. Um, because as women, we all know that if there's a situation or something that we absolutely do not like and we're not okay with, we're going to bring it up and we're going to get to the bottom of it and we're going to figure it out. But I feel like for her, I don't know if in that moment she needed something to add to her, this is why I need to say no list
Yeah.
on
That's what it
like
felt like.
stuff, like she was looking for additional uses, but at the same time, like they had plenty opportunities, and I do agree with Anton, like, you had all this time to bring it up, but you never did, and then uh, she tried to be a little messy, and I think, like, for me, it was a little unnecessary at the dinner table when they went back with the friends, um, that she made the comment of, like, you know you're in trouble and we need to, we're going to have a conversation. But then again, that conversation never really took place, I don't think. And like, you should have just saved it for after the dinner, away from the friends, so that he could have had a chance of like, hey, like, for him to have a chance to talk to his friend about his girlfriend and been like, look, this I've only met this chick twice. Like, your little girlfriend is creating this narrative
Yeah.
and, telling my fiance all this stuff that may or may not be true, but with the heightened environment that they're in, it's making it worse than it normally would be, I think, in a normal setting. Um, but also, if these things were such dire pieces of information that she found out, I feel like Allie definitely would have brought it up in a conversation before the altar. Um, and I don't think she gave Anton uh enough chances to maybe clear some things up.
Yeah.
Or be like, yeah, this is what I did before. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I did hit up a few strip clubs because I knew I was gonna go on the show, or I was trying to go on the show, and I was just trying to get a few things out of my system. You
Yeah.
know, that could have maybe altered her decision on like why he was, why he did what he did in the before filming, and then, maybe explain the drinking because he did, I think, acknowledge on, I think, social media, that, yeah, did I drink more than I usually do?
Yeah, he did.
For sure, but I'm sure he was, unfortunately, maybe that was just the way he decided to cope with the high stress that he was in, trying to navigate his job, be on this reality TV show. A lot of them, it's new, so they don't really know how to handle the stress of being on a reality TV, trying to get to know this person that you're trying to marry.
And I can't imagine filming the show and working in your real life. Like having to work in your real life and film a show, that has to weigh heavily on a person. And speaking of weighing heavily on a person, last but not least, Edmund and KB.
Girl, why did we have to bring the pick out?
Too. I was as soon as they walked out, that was the first thing I was looking. I was like, "Is it gonna be there?" And then a part of me was like, "It has to be there." And the part of me was like, "Is there gonna be any growth? Is it gonna be gone?" And then once it was there, I was like, "We've learned nothing. We've learned nothing. So let's go ahead and get to it because you've learned nothing. KB has learned nothing." Um, I love that KB pointed out that she was like, "Well, you guys actually saw that he was jumping around. When I'm talking to him, I can't see that he's jumping around. I just think I'm having a conversation with somebody." And I was like, "Yeah, we knew that, but uh oh, there was another piece of spoiler about the KB and Edmund is that somebody said that producers were trying to get Edmund to date like anybody, like they just wanted to keep him on, and that KB was the only one that was like willing to kind of like go forward with it or something like that. I don't know. You never know with the show. But oh, I'm so sleepy. I'm so sorry. But I don't know. The Edmund and KB thing, it was just to me, it was just like nobody learned anything. Everybody was more concerned about how they were viewed online, and they weren't concerned about their actual actions on the show. KB was trying to get out of there not looking like a complete villain and was trying to end on a good note. And Edmund, I don't foresee accountability anywhere in his future.
No, and honestly, I was waiting for Edmund to start crying,
Yeah.
because that's just from what we've seen his go-to,
Yeah.
but I loved how KB, um, took her little notes and was like, "It's 'cause I'm I was afraid to not remember, da 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 da," it's like, okay, like, to me, I was like, "Girl, not you trying to take notes from Nick and be prepared, but, like, you know, this is supposed to be authentic and from the heart and in the moment because the reunion is typically, from their point, not supposed to be scripted on their end, you know? So that kind of disappointed me in her a little bit. But, her trying to basically, they were just rehashing what they've tried to hash out on the so okay, so we're having the same conversations, the same arguments about what we saw, what happened, just in a different setting.
Yeah.
So, to me, I got nothing out of that. Edmund did not learn a damn thing. Um, he's still, the fact that he was like, "Oh, I don't remember being on my knees and da 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 da." It's like she's like, "Really? You don't remember? It was before you crawled into the little cupboard. Like, moving in. How do you not remember that?" And then
The gaslighting of it all.
it all was insane. And Vanessa trying to, like, not comfort Edmund, but, like, make excuses for him, like, "Oh, you probably don't remember because it's part of your trauma response." Like, no, no, Vanessa, that is
She did try that. She was like, "I relate with that." And I was like, "Vanessa, girl."
so Edmund and KB, still, living in just 2 different perspectives. They just have 2 completely different perspectives and moments of their time on the show, and at this point, it is what it is, but I'm glad that they were able to hug it out and call it a day.
Yeah, and just just move along.
Just move along.
Just move along, because that is not gonna ever get talked out. I don't understand how they didn't watch the season and couldn't figure out what was going on from each of their own perspectives, but that's here nor there. Um, at the very end, Blake pops out, and all I could think it was Blake can pop out, but Anna can't.
"Where you at, girl? Where's Anna?"
Anna, she's probably already on another reality TV show.
"I don't know which one." Whatever.
Anna, I was really disappointed that Anna wasn't there.
Yeah, but did it surprise you?
Well, it did because she showed up to the meetup. So I thought, well, you showed up to the meetup thing. So I was like, then you'll show up to the reunion.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised at all not seeing Anna. I think maybe whatever backlash she was getting from her moment at the meetup probably was enough for her to be like, "Look, I'm not into the man. I'm not trying to date anybody else in this pod. Like, I'm so sick of these people." She probably was like, "The everyone is so fake and they can have their airtime." But I thought it was, a cute little surprise for Jordan. He was so excited to see Blake. He like the way he jumped up and was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Oh yeah, that is like
I'm
your
like,
best buddy in the
why?
world."
It's been a year and a half. Well, I'm sure she's probably seen them. He's probably saw Blake.
I'm sure, yeah, because I think from what it seemed like they were still pretty close friends. Um, and I think, maybe in talks of like, "Oh, hey, are you gonna go to the reunion?" Like, da 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 da. They probably want knowing that it was Jordan's birthday. They wanted to, maybe do something cute because the whole reunion was so off and different with the basketball and all this other stuff that they're like, let's just have Blake pop out with protein ice cream for everyone.
Yeah. And then last but not least, because before I forget, I thought it was so hilarious that after Anton explains he's moved on and he's happy, that they ask about Allie and she's like, I would like to keep my relationship private. Like my
Yeah,
personal life private or whatever. And I was like, really, Allie? She just didn't want to seem like I thought that was odd to me because it's like either you are or you aren't. Like, I feel like everybody was saying how beautiful everyone thought you were. I would think you'd want the world to know if you were single or not. I don't know.
probably didn't. And depending on who she's dating or maybe in the talks of dating, might be somebody in the entertainment business and whatnot. Because some of these, she seems like the type that she's trying to get a somebody, okay? And I don't blame her for saying, I mean, I wish she would have just clarified, like, yeah, I am seeing somebody, it's new, and, just kind of keep it cute.
Right.
But they're like, okay, like this show got to your head and we need to just reel it in a little bit. So yeah, so I was like, okay, Allie, like, do you girl? I mean, you look amazing. She looked like a little Miss like Miss Brazil over there in her dress. And or maybe she, didn't want to give Anton the satisfaction of like life moved on too. So, you know,
She didn't want to tell him, she didn't want to say she was single because he was in a relationship. I feel like she was like, because if you're in a new relationship, you should be able to say like, "Oh, I'm in a new relationship," but you don't have to point to them in the crowd. It's just, "I'm just in a new relationship," or "I'm dating." But she was just like, "I'm just gonna keep it personal." That told me you're super single. That's what that said to me.
yeah, because your ex is now happy relationship
Yeah.
and you know you could be feeling a little bitter or some type of way, which is natural, but yeah, that definitely was interesting on her end. And my only takeaway was, did you feel like Miss Kate got way too much screen time? Because what?
She did get a lot of screen time. She really I kept trying to figure out like why is Kate still talking? Why are we going to Kate? Why do we care about Kate's perspective? Kate, it was as if Kate was part of the whole season. It was
Yeah,
Kate, you were in the pods and the meetup. You were there just as much as Anna. And then
yeah,
we didn't even see her a lot in the pods.
no, no, it wasn't a lot. It was they just showed a little bit and just showed like the big moments that would obviously cause controversy between her, Nick, and Annie for a later storyline because they knew that was going to get brought up again. Um, but yeah, I mean, granted, Kate seemed to be in the middle of all the drama and had some sort of connection to somebody's situation, but at the end of the day, like Kate was so irrelevant and they just needed to fill that seat.
I felt like Kate is probably kind of a local, what's it called? You know, your local person that kind of knows everybody. I feel like she's kind of like that local person. She knows everybody. So when they have these little parties, she's inviting everybody because she just kind of knows everybody. And I feel like that because how Joe's new girlfriend and this and that, like I think all that is intertwined with her just being like a little local celebrity type person.
Yeah, and she definitely like obviously it seems like they all try to hang out as much as they can. Like Mike's over here throwing pool parties and inviting everyone and they're all still hanging out because they do have that one thing in common that not everybody in Denver is gonna like understand, they're in this, it's like any other reality TV show. You have that whatever reality TV you were on crew
Yeah.
and now based off of that common denominator. And I feel like Kate clearly is very close friends with Madison. And so wherever Madison goes, Kate's there and Kate's going to bring her friends and whoever she knows. And so I feel like amongst the mingling and the get togethers that they had, I feel like that there's no other way that Joe would have met Avery. Um, and then obviously ran with it. And Avery probably just thinks it's so cool that not only her really good friend, but now her boyfriend were on this reality TV show and
And
just feels like the cool girl.
you know what's gonna happen is Joe and Avi are gonna break up, and Avery will be on the next season of Love is Blind.
Y- Ah, that would be a twist.
I can see that happening.
Yeah. Or she's going to be on some sort of reality show.
Yeah. Because I think they now film 2 a year or something like that, so I'm sure they're probably in the midst of something now, so we will see.
Chelsea?
We'll see. Well, as always, thank you guys for checking out our recap. We will be back next week to recap um Selling Sunset. But until then, thanks again for watching. Love ya. Bye.
Bye.